Alright, getting ready for first start on this Daytona hardtop, and just wanted to show you my priming distributor. Basically it's just a old pressure light distributor that's been gutted. The gear has been taken off. I put a spacer in with some washers and pinned it back together. You'll see inside it's basically just like I say, it's been gutted, and then there's a small copper shield I made that'll go over the where the distributor cam goes on, and keep me from messing up those threads, because this could be used again as a distributor if I built it back. It's a good shaft, tight bushings. And one thing I did want to note is, if you see the gasket, I think most folks know this, but there is a gasket underneath these distributors. If you don't put it in, you can have an oil leak, and it'll look like a main seal, rear main seal leak. I cut them out. I don't even think they come in kits, so I just basically cut them out. Take and scribe a line, a circle, the right diameter, and just cut it out with a knife on the inside diameter, and then you use the scissors on the outside diameter. So I'm getting ready to do this one right here, and you can see how it's I've got it drawn on there, and this just takes a few minutes. So, but this will be a couple extra ones. Alright, let's look at the priming setup. I've got a oil pressure gauge hooked up, basically just going to where the factory takeoff is. The priming distributor is in. I've got a 90-degree half-speed adapter and electric drill. And the drill is real handy. It supports off that linkage there. I took the valve covers off so I can make sure that none of the valves are stuck, and so far everything looks good, but there were a couple that were in the open position now I'm not sure about, so as the engine rotates I'll check those. So I've already had the pressure up, but I'll show you what happens with that. Alright, let me show you how easily the pressure comes up with the priming system here. You might want to turn down your volume, it'll be a little noisy. That's pretty good. You can get 50 plus psi, and the drill, and really was not running the drill all that fast either. So it's a good way to prime your engine. So that's how I do it. Other people probably have other methods. I'm sure that they have other methods, but that's how I do it. I'm going to go ahead and get the valve covers back on now that I know all the rockers are oiling. We've built pressure. We've rolled the engine. I do want to get the engine set up top dead center, so we'll do that and put the window distributor back in. So more to come. Alright, I pulled the spark plugs out. Almost forgot about that, so the engine turns over easier. And I did put some rags under the heads because the rockers are starting to oil pretty good, especially the driver's side bank. So want to catch that, minimize the mess on the floor. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring the oil pressure up and I'm going to rotate it through, you know, 6, 8 full rotations, and make sure we got oil everywhere. One reason I like pulling these valve covers off, besides checking to make sure there aren't any stuck valves, is we can make sure that all the rockers are oiling properly. And you can see they are. Interestingly, as I said, the driver's side started oiling first. Not sure why, but the passenger side's all oiling each rocker too. So that's something that's good to do, especially when an engine's set this long. So you notice I did take the fan off because it was pretty difficult. I had to keep turning. I'd turn it a little bit, then had to turn the fan. So I just pulled the fan off, put some short bolts in to hold the water pump pulley on. So I'll run it through a few more revolutions, and that'll be it for the priming. We'll pull the priming distributor, get the real distributor in it, set the timing. I'll have to get the engine to top bit center on number 1 and get all that set. Get the valve covers on, and put the wires and everything on. Alright, so we have got the engine set on where the number 1 plug would fire. And by the way, for those of you who have never done this, we've got the exhaust valve and the intake valve for number 1 cylinder. So what you want to do is you turn the engine in a clockwise direction. You watch for the exhaust valve to open, so that's cylinders coming up and pushing out the gases from the combustion. Then it'll close, go a little further, and the intake valve will open as the piston's going back down, creates a vacuum and sucks in the gas and the air mixture. Then it'll close, the piston starts coming up on its compression stroke, and that's when you got to start watching here. And when the ignition mark, well, it's not very much focus, is it? Let's see if we can hit it here. That's a little better. When the ignition, the pointer gets even with the ignition mark, or the ignition mark gets even with the pointer, you stop. And that is where number 1 cylinder will fire. So it's not hard. If you're putting the distributor back in, if you've moved the engine, you've got to do it that way, or you're not going to get the distributor in right, or you'll be really lucky if you get it in right. So that's how you do that. I'm going to put the valve covers back on now, pull out the priming distributor, and get ready for first start.